What is going on, guys? This is Daniel, and despite the fact that the Jazz lost Rudy Gobert to an injury on the first play of the game, they managed to beat the Clippers 97-95 in LA, and I have quite a few observations on the game. Let's get to it. One big reason for the Jazz success is that they executed on offense and took advantage of the Clippers' sloppy defense. The Jazz are fundamental. They'll hit Diaw in the post and execute a split of sorts at the foul line, and Ingles is able to beat Redick on a backdoor cut for the layup. It's the basic things that help them do well. On a pin down, Derek Favors sets a nice hard screen, allowing Hood to get a drive toward the basket. While Hood misses, Favors gets fouled on the rebound. They're fundamental and also very patient. Watch Ingles on this play as he'll work the pick and roll until he can make a nice pass to Diaw, and then when Ingles gets it back on the drive, he'll keep his head up. There's Hayward with a nicely timed cut, and this deliberate style gets Diaw an open shot. It felt on a few possessions the Jazz simply outworked the Clippers. Hayward will miss the shot, but there's Whiffy crashing the boards. Hayward follows his own shot, and the Jazz keep the possession alive. And again, the Jazz will beat the Clippers on a cut as George Hill will cut to the basket and get the and one. From the Clippers' perspective, getting beat on an occasional cut happens, but some of the rotations were just abysmal. Blake Griffin here turns his head to the ball, so he does not realize it's his responsibility to drop low and take away the dump-off pass. He doesn't help, and it's a dunk. This is a basic rotation, and Griffin messed it up twice in one game. Here he sees it's his job to drop low, but he's late, and it's a dunk. Unacceptable. Advanced rotations are obviously tougher, but in the playoffs, every point matters. On this play, Redick does a nice job of making the simple rotation and dropping low, but on the skip pass, Abba Mute is late getting to the corner. You can see how the Clippers are smart, they know what to do. Redick is going to close out on Abba Mute's man, and Abba Mute is going to cover for Redick, but again, Abba Mute is late, and Ingles hits the corner three. They need to fix these defensive mistakes fast, and here they mess up a simple switch as Joe Johnson is able to step into an easy three. On a baseline out of bounds play, both Griffin and Spates will go to the corner, doubling Hayward, which leaves Diaw wide open for a layup. Good execution by the Jazz to get this, but unbelievably terrible defense for a playoff game. The Clippers have to get those things right because the Jazz are good. When Johnson plays the 4 in particular, they're dangerous as they can run high pick and roll with 3 shooters spreading the floor, and on this play you can see how no Clipper really wants to help off a shooter, which frees up Favors on the roll. My only gripe with the Jazz offense in Game 1 was the fact that they didn't go to this high pick and roll more often. Here with Johnson at the 4, they'll isolate him, and I get it, he's a very good isolation player, but the pick and roll is just more devastating, and here Johnson takes a bad shot and it's a shot clock violation. Compare the shot he got on the last play to the shot he gets on this play when they run high pick and roll. So here it's 2 minutes left, and I would have liked to seen Favors screen for Hayward, and the Clippers probably would have gave up something good. Instead, Ingles screens for Hayward, and they do get the switch with Crawford on Hayward, but the Clippers switch because they're okay with Hayward isolating on Crawford and taking the pull-up jumper. Execution is the name of the game. It helped the Jazz on offense and it helped them also play excellent team defense, and the Clippers' mediocre spacing made them guardable, helping the Jazz defense. Did the Jazz miss rotations? Of course, but they did a better job than the Clippers. On this play, Hayward does a nice job of dropping low to take away the pass to Jordan, and Diaw covers Abba Mute on the cut, and the Jazz force the miss. Crisp rotations can clean up mistakes. Ingles comes too far off Abba Mute, allowing him to cut to the rim, but notice Hayward do a really nice job of dropping low, taking away that pass to Jordan, and deflecting the pass away. Very impressive. And it's no surprise the Jazz took advantage of the Clippers' lack of spacing. Here Hayward helps one pass away off Abba Mute, and then Johnson does not hesitate to step up, leaving Griffin open in the corner, and then Johnson eventually gets the steal. Where this is most important is on the pick and roll, where Johnson can bump Jordan, leaving Griffin open, and this is a fascinating subplot, because Griffin can shoot. He can hit mid-range shots, and on threes, he shot 33% for the season on 2 attempts per game. He hit 2 threes in game 1, and I expect the Jazz to give him this shot the whole series, because they'd rather give him the jumper than give up the alley-oop to Jordan, which to the Jazz credit, they only gave up 1 alley-oop in the pick and roll to Jordan in game 1. Let's look at some other things to watch for in game 2. The big matchup in game 1 was Blake Griffin, Joe Johnson, as they guarded each other, and I expect them to guard each other in game 2 as Johnson plays the 4 a bunch. And Griffin did have his way a few times in the post, and here he hits a shot. Griffin posting up Johnson is an advantage for Griffin, but at the same time, Johnson is 6'7", well built, and he can hold his own. Watch on this play how Johnson will pull the chair and Griffin falls. Clever stuff from the veteran. Blake can do the most damage against Johnson on the offensive glass, but that's a core issue with the Clippers as he's not inside a bunch when he's on the floor with Jordan. The Jazz can live with Johnson guarding Griffin because it's an advantage on offense. Johnson adds spacing to the team, and he can also beat Griffin, and here Johnson comes off a screen and scores. Once in a while, it's a fine idea for Johnson to take Griffin one-on-one and make a play. Plus minus can only tell you so much, but I don't think it's insignificant. For the entire game, Johnson was a +6 and Griffin was a -6. Moving on to another subplot, Ingles on Redick, and in game 1, Ingles did a fantastic job staying with Redick, and here he blocks the shot. Common sense would say Redick would have success against Ingles since he likes running off screens and Ingles isn't very fast, but Ingles is a damn good defender. Here he pressures Redick and steals it from him. Look for the Clippers to try to get Redick going early in game 2, as Redick had a subpar game 1 and the Clippers cannot afford that from him in game 2, so we'll see how this matchup, Redick and Ingles, plays out. Also, the Clippers did have some success getting out in transition in game 1, and this is an interesting dynamic as getting the ball to Griffin early in the shot clock, that can be beneficial, and any time where Paul can push the tempo and make plays, it's Chris Paul. The Jazz are a slow tempo team, and if the Clippers can get some easy buckets before they are able to set up their half-court defense, that could be extremely important. I know I praised the Jazz for the majority of the video and trashed the Clippers for a bunch of it too, so you may be thinking, okay, well, where's the balance? The Clippers only lost by 2 points. The answer is Chris Paul. The guy scored 10 straight points in the 4th quarter and was the reason the Clippers were even in this game at all. And he is the best player on the floor. And when you have the best player on the floor, that's a great place to start. And it's not just Paul. The Clippers have Jordan, who played well in game 1, and Griffin, while his defense was bad, he's an offensive factor. So they have the talent, it's just a matter of can they fix the defensive issues? Can they get Redick going? If they can do that, especially if Gobert doesn't return, the series is theirs to take. In terms of the very end, Paul ties the game up by hitting a tough floater, and then Quinn Snyder does not call a timeout, which is a perfectly fine strategy. And I know I criticized the Jazz earlier for running a Johnson ISO instead of a high pick and roll, but at the end of the game where you don't want to leave your opponent anytime, an ISO is a fine strategy, and Johnson gets the bounce and is the hero in game 1. Well, there you have it, guys. Even without Gobert, the Jazz took game 1 because of their execution, and it's fun watching a team execute this well against a team with 3 stars. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.